Fine cars and fine cigars. The phrase evokes a luxury lifestyle that began around the turn of the 20th century, then reached a high level of prominence in the roaring 20s. You know, in The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote of a social class who summered in the Hamptons, dined in great restaurants, and stayed in first-class hotels. The men, they wore tuxedos while driving Bentleys, and they always smoked the finest tobaccos. Though the times and some of those habits have changed, the elegance remains. And today we'll be talking to businessmen who make their 21st century living from fine cars and fine cigars. I'm Nelson Davis, executive producer of Making It, and the show starts now. Making It, featuring inspiring personal stories of struggle, triumph, and success from America's small business communities.
Hello and welcome to Making It. I'm Lynette Romero.
And I'm Emmett Miller. Ghana natives Hassan and Hussein Iddrissu moved to the United States with their family at 10 years of age. Their mother had a real estate development company that built affordable housing throughout the world. Their father was an attorney and a politician. These twin brothers enjoyed a privileged upbringing, including world travel, boarding school as well in London.
Along the way, they developed a passion for luxury cars. After graduating from college and working in corporate America, they wanted to strike out on their own. Their logical choice for a venture, customizing high-end cars. But regardless of background, everyone starting up a new business can expect a bumpy road. Well, let's take a ride with correspondent Errol Smith.
Roadstar Motorsport is an automobile customization company, and we specialize in exotic European cars.
So whose idea was it to start the business?
Actually, idea came up. Well, it was a collabo, from friends and people always commenting about how nice the cars we drove.
Now, son, I understand you left a very good paying job to do this. What were you thinking?
Just like my job, being a stockbroker with Morgan Stanley, risk. And I measure the risk factors and, and how it can pay off and so forth. And any great businessman will tell you that, sometimes you do have to take great risks. And sometimes a lot of these great risks comes with rewards. I figured I can't really go wrong.
You went to the SBA and asked for $100 grand. What did they tell you?
That was a pretty interesting act. Basically, they looked at me and laughed at me because I took a proposal and asked for, a $100,000 loan, and they were just not interested at all. So that actually created a lot of motivation for me to go ahead and make sure I did what I did and proved them wrong. And actually, after we started business, we was doing so well, and we got our first article in the Rights magazine. Actually, I went back to that SBA and took the magazine and showed it to the manager that actually, basically told me to get at, and he was quite amazed, and then he apologized and he offered other services, and it was a wrap.
How did you get the money?
A lot of money came from money that I had saved up and money that I had accumulated as I worked at Morgan Stanley, and also with a little bit of family support.
Hussein, what do you do?
Street promotion, industry. I go out, talk to the industry people, ball players, music, rappers, get them out here, tell them, hey, come check out my spot, Roadstar, because they like spending money anyway, so rather than go spend it somewhere else, be like, hey, come spend on Roadstar.
Where did you find the people who know how to do these kinds of customizations?
Okay, one of my guys here is originally from Hungary. He used to be a mechanical engineer, and he got out that business, so started with him. And he's my guru tech guy here.
So I understand now you're thinking about going into Moscow, but will the market support something like this?
You gotta understand that right now in Moscow, if you do your research, there's probably more millionaires in Moscow than anywhere else in the world.
Now, you're the PR guy. You're relying on your contacts and your street savvy to get business here.
Yes.
How are you going to do that in Moscow?
Same way I did in the United States. Same way.
No different? Same kind of marketplace?
Same kind of, just go to industry, go to wealthy neighborhood, wealthy parties, you know, stick around wealthy, you know, because only the wealth could really afford what we do.
Give me an example of a deal that went bad and how you dealt with it.
Okay, we had a gentleman that used to play for the Los Angeles Clippers, and it was time for him to write a check. And that became a big issue because he kept adding all these things in the car without actually thinking about it as far as the cost. And then once it was done, it was way over what he had projected, and we couldn't really reverse the effect.
So what did you do?
We just had to swallow majority of the cost.
Interesting. And why did you do that as opposed to just take the guy to court? Because,
you know, he was referred from another basketball player, which we have an awesome relationship with. And, you know, and because he was referred from another type of relation we already had with him, we didn't want to jeopardize that relationship. And also with him, that was his first year. He was a rookie. So we, you know, as a financial point, I'm thinking, okay, it's an investment for the future. So, you know, we're going to swallow now, but we get him back later somehow, some way along the line.
Now, what you're doing looks like it's fun, but is it profitable?
Yes, sir, it's profitable.
How? How much?
Where we explored different markets. For example, we have a client who is one of the princes of Saudi that did a lot of work with us, and then he sent us quite a lot of referrals.
What do you think it is that's making you guys succeed where so many other people have failed?
As far as we was here for a purpose. We was not here just to hang around. We was here for a purpose. So it was made clearly when we first came to this country that to make sure that whatever we do here, we got to keep in mind that, you know, we're here for a purpose. So we must succeed.
Forbes magazine reports that Moscow has the largest concentration of billionaires on the planet. And in the spring of 2006, Sotheby's held their first exotic luxury car auction in Russia. So no doubt, Hassan and Hussein are navigating the right course.
The Iddrissu brothers always wanted to be millionaires, but do you? In Secrets of Success, financial planner Pam Adams has the 5 key questions to determine who will realize a 7-digit income.
I'm sure you've seen the show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? As a financial planner, I've learned that I can ask my clients 5 questions and determine whether, in fact, they will actually become a millionaire. Do you want to be a millionaire and why? It simply can't be about the money. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do with it? Do you pay yourself first? The Wall Street Journal recently reported that 68% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Invest in your 401k plan. Pay yourself first. Do you know your latte factor? David Bach made famous in the book Smart Women Finish Rich the metaphor for those things that keep you from accomplishing your goal. Learn your latte factor. Invest in yourself. Do you own or do you rent? Those people who own have a greater probability of becoming wealthy. Put together a plan to buy a home, pay off your mortgage early, you'll retire early. And then do you give back? Billionaires were giving back long before they became billionaires. Do you want to be a millionaire?
And for more financial tips, you can reach Pam Adams at A.G. Edwards & Sons. The phone number there is 949-756-0353. And you can watch streaming video of more Secrets of Success on our website at makingittv.com.
Well, Freud said sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, but not to Victor Mihenes. To him, each one is a work of art. You'll meet him when we return.
In the entrepreneurial spirit, Making It is being brought to you by Southern California Gas Company, glad to be of service. By Comerica Bank, we listen, we understand, we make it work. And by Honda, the power of dreams.
Welcome back to Making It. Today we're meeting entrepreneurs involved in two classic luxury trades, fine cars and fine cigars.
Victor Mijares Sr. grew up in the tobacco fields of Puerto Rico. In 1947, he established the La Plata Cigar Company. He hand-rolled cigars and sold them right on the spot. Well, as word spread, cigar aficionados began flocking to his small shop in Los Angeles. From tycoons to vaudevillians, business was expanding.
Victor Sr. added one store, then another, and as the years went by, he began to think of retirement. But his son, Victor Jr., was headed toward a career path in music. How could he continue his father's love of cigars while furthering his love of the arts?
Through marketing efforts, fine cigars have been promoted as symbols of wealth and comfort. Nearing his retirement, Victor Sr. allowed his son to decide the future of La Plata Cigars.
I wasn't sure I wanted to be in this business. It was too different, I think, for me at a young age to understand. And what happened was one day he decided to retire. And he came to me and handed me the keys. And he said, you can do whatever it is that you want. You can sell the business, you can close the business, you can keep the business. It's all up to you. And I think the reason why I stayed behind at the time was the challenge. I think he left it up to me. It was no longer forced upon me. It was just an open ticket. And I thought it'd be a good way to support myself.
Creating a premium, hand-rolled cigar is an art form that's very time-consuming.
The cigar making process is a very long process. If we got into A to Z on this process, you would need a 1 hour or 2 hour video to really understand from seedling to cigar connoisseur. But in the cigar factory, these tobaccos are aged, they're ready to be rolled into a cigar, and you pick the leaves that create that blend for that cigar. And once the cigar is rolled, it's aged, and after that they brand it, box it. Again, it would be put into a humidor and aged for another length of time. Every factory has what they consider the time before release, and some might be 6 months, some might be 1 year. So it's all personal to that blend, to that company.
La Plata's profit margin in California is diminished by taxes.
Profit in the cigar business in the state of California is a difficult thing lately. I think we're doing it more for the love of the business than it is for the profit. It's a difficult thing to break down here. I'm inundated with paperwork once a month, and we're talking about an import tax, a bulk tax, a tax on the cost of the tobacco, and then a tax on the wholesale cost, and then there's a bulk tax, which would be how much product you sell in a given month. And then there's a bulk annual tax on how much dollar is generated, and you're taxed on that. So it starts to get very confusing after a while.
Victor has taken the traditional cigar lounge to another level. Situated in Gallery Row, 2nd Street Cigars and Gallery displays artwork alongside his cigars.
Well, back in about 2003, I started to look for a new location for our business, and it took about a year until I found this location. And my distributor in Taiwan travels back and forth to the U.S. and lives here in Los Angeles, made a comment that why don't we partner up and do something different. And so when I found this location here in Gallery Row, I thought it'd be a great idea, very unique, to have a cigar lounge mixed in with an art gallery.
La Plata cigars are now made in Nicaragua.
The future of La Plata is ongoing with the new line from Nicaragua. It's doing well. We started it in 2003, and we just picked up a new distributor on the East Coast, and our Taiwanese distributor is buying, seems like they're buying more and more every time they order. So I think it's getting out there, and I'm happy. I mean, the numbers are up, and we're happy to be in the business in a wholesale capacity.
CigarCyclopedia.com states that there have been a net increase of 101 brands of handmade cigars actively marketed in the U.S. since 2005.
The name has been around for almost 60 years, and I love that. I love going somewhere and they already know who you are, so that's a nice feeling. It kind of validates what you're doing.
Victor says being located in Gallery Row in Los Angeles is a creative venture. Every month, the 2nd Street Cigar and Art Gallery premieres new cigars or holds tasting events.
And coming up next, studio guest Kwame Granderson of Equinair. His company helps small business owners leverage untapped equity to increase their net worth. That's when we return.
You can reach Hassan and Hussein Iddrissu of Roadstar at ROADSTAR.com, and you can call Victor Mejias Jr. of the La Plata Cigar Company at 213-452-4416. Now let's turn things over to Lynette, who's in the studio with a very special guest.
Thanks, Emmett. Whether you're a small business owner or a homeowner, Kwame Granderson of Equinair has developed a formula to help build wealth. He believes each of us has untapped access to resources in order to increase our worth. So if your plan is to open your dream business, build a nest egg for your retirement, or finance your child's education, Kwame has some solid advice for you. Welcome to Making It. The answer is yes to all of those questions. I have a dream business. I want to build my retirement, and I want to think about my child's education. We have so many things to think about. But first, let's talk about Equinair. What does that mean?
Well, Equinair is a contraction of equity and millionaires. So it means equity-based millionaires. And essentially what we're trying to do is help people understand that equity is very real, very powerful, and very transformative. Because a lot of people think of equity as paper money or play money, but it's not. It can be used in very concrete ways.
Right. Now, is there a particular vision that really guides your business?
Well, my vision is that the average homeowner or the average small business owner has the ability to transform their personal situation and really take their business or their personal life to that next level, so that they can start having some of the life choices that otherwise might not be available to them.
You know, wealth is such an intangible for so many people. How do you really define wealth?
Well, I define wealth as living power as opposed to earning power. I think of earning power as the ability to make money, and living power is the ability to make choices. And so for different people, that means different things, but essentially what wealth enables you to do is live your life according to your own value system.
So what do you think is the one thing, or what are some of the things that prevent people from truly being wealthy?
Well, I think the primary impediment to becoming wealthy for most people is fear. I mean, bottom line. I just think that a lot of people are afraid of moving outside of their comfort zone. And I like to think of fear as looking in the wrong direction. If you're on a bridge, people tell you not to look down because you have the motor skills to get across the bridge, but if you focus on falling, you won't make it.
So you want to focus away from your fear?
You want to focus on where you're trying to go, the destination.
Right.
And what I try to help people understand is, if you have access to equity or assets, you probably have the resources to get to your destination.
If you keep your sight on
them. If you focus on that destination.
You know, there are a lot of people who talk about taking risks and what you have to do to build some wealth. There are some proven ways. Can you talk about those ways?
Well, you know, there are a lot of ways, I guess, to build wealth. My preferred way is real estate, only because, you know, real estate is doubled every decade going back to probably the Civil War. And so it is the ultimate example of, you know, if something is working, don't mess with it. I mean, it works, and it's made more people wealthy than just about anything else.
And there are risks, but you have to look long term.
Of course,
right?
Yes, there are risks, but if you were sort of to assess the different risks of doing different things, real estate is one of the safest ways to build wealth over time.
Now, there should be some things that small business owners should be concerned about. Can you talk specifically about what should they be concerned about when they're thinking about creating wealth? It's different for maybe a small business owner.
Sure. I mean, one of the things that a small business owner has to be careful about is being adequately diversified. I mean, sometimes what happens with small business owners is they take all of their resources and they're dumping it back into their business because they want their business to succeed. And part of the problem with that is sometimes you can make yourself vulnerable because if something happens to the sector that you happen to be in, you don't have a fallback position.
Now, when you talk about expansion opportunities then for small businesses, what kinds of things should they be aware of?
Well, they should be thinking about the markets for one that they're in. You know, in Southern California, for example, I think that the Inland Empire, i.e. Riverside County, San Bernardino County, are two of the regions that have the strongest growth potential. So if you're looking for business opportunities, that region presents some of the most promising opportunities.
Mm-hmm. People must always ask you, okay, Kwame, you're giving me all this really great advice, but you know, do you walk the talk? How has it worked for you? Give me some background and how, you know, what qualifies you?
Well, I came out of Harvard Law School in '96. I had nothing. My parents aren't formally educated, and so our whole family used real estate to advance ourselves. I mean, from '96 to the present, I amassed over $30 million of real estate by doing exactly what I'm trying to help other people understand, that you can use equity very effectively to leverage into other assets.
Mm-hmm. But is it different now when you're talking about the market? People are saying, okay, the market's soft now. Now more people who might have been willing to do it before aren't so willing to do it. You know, interest rates have gone up, even though houses may be a little bit more affordable. Sure. It's not quite as competitive, but it's a whole different ballgame.
My belief is there's no good or bad time to invest in real estate. There's only a good or bad strategy. And so what you do is when the market softens, you instead of buying at a certain price and relying more on appreciation, you just demand a deeper discount. And so you go in the door trying to achieve whatever gains you're achieving, you make those gains going in the door.
So if you were just starting out without the portfolio that you have now, your first step would be what?
My first step would be to, if I'm not a homeowner, to buy a home. And if I'm a small business owner, my first step would be to take the assets of my business and to try to, as I said, diversify by either buying the building that I'm in, you know, or, you know, attempting to use that capital to buy other buildings.
We all want to be rich, don't we? We all want to be in a place where, what you said, we can make some choices and we have some freedom and some leverage. It's a great place to be.
That's what it's ultimately about,
yeah. To live well.
And living, you know, by your own terms, or on your own terms.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Kwame. We appreciate it. Now stay tuned for information on how to contact Kwame Granderson at Equinair when we come back. Stick around.
Featuring stories from American small business, Making It is being brought to you by Southern California Edison. For over 100 years, life powered by Edison. By Bank of America, higher standards. And by the Boeing Company.
If you'd like to contact Kwame Granderson of Equinair, you can reach him at 877-97-WEALTH or equityispower.com.
And the Making It website offers a wealth of resources to entrepreneurs. You can post a picture of yourself and your business or order a copy of today's show. These benefits and more at makingittv.com.
And that wraps it up for this edition of Making It. I'm Emmett Miller.
We've said wealth a couple times, haven't we?
We have. Maybe more times than we should.
I'm Lynette Romero. Join us next time.
Here's a final thought.
My mother was a big entrepreneur in my family. My father was an attorney, but my mother was a model, but left the modeling job after she started having kids, and then she went into real estate, and she did awesome in that. She being able to go out there in the world and conquering like that, you know, created a lot of motivation for us to be able to do what we do today.